Ooh, it's a little bit quieter, which is always appreciated. So it's good for recording. Okay, hello and welcome back to the Lion's Den. I'm your host Matt, as always, and welcome to the first episode to be recorded in 2023. The last one was actually recorded the week before New Year's because New Year's Eve is a Sunday, or it was a Sunday. Time is confusing. Anyway, I honestly don't have a plan. I had a couple ideas, but I was kind of thinking that they were stupid, to be honest. So I'll just talk about the things that I have currently on my mind. Literally, when I walked into my room, the first thing that I saw was a book I'm reading. I know, amazing, fantastic, reading books. Wow. And I thought, I kind of want to shove some of my thoughts about this book series somewhere because I've not actually talked to anyone about it currently. So sorry, you're getting my book review despite the fact that I haven't finished it yet. So this is a trilogy series because it came out during the time when trilogies and dystopian futures were all the rage. It literally says on the book of the cover of the version that I have, it's the next Hunger Games, so that kind of puts you right where you need to be for understanding what the story is. And it's this three-part series about our future, in the sense that not so far in the future, humanity has completely destroyed the Earth for some reason, and all of the people that are meant to survive have been funneled into what they call silos, which are these massive, like 200-story buildings that just bore straight down into the ground, and that's where they live. They work, they eat, they breathe, they die, they get married, they have children, they do literally all of the human life in this silo, and nobody can go outside because the planet is uninhabitable. And I believe the idea is that they are in there because eventually the world will become habitable and they can start anew, but currently it's an absolute mess. And it's genuinely quite interesting, quite fascinating, and the stories are really good because it's really interesting to see how society develops in this kind of condition. My biggest problem though is with the way it's written. So the first book follows life within a single silo, just one, and then it's expanded upon later. I'll try not to say too much, but it's kind of hard to not break or spoil things too badly. I think the book cover, to be honest, tells you more than it should. But yeah, you follow life within this silo, and you're looking at all the characters and everything that's going around. And the thing that really, really bugs me is the chapter structure. Now, there's like, I don't know, 50, 60 chapters in this book, and you're probably thinking, holy moly, how thick is this book? It's not. The problem is the way the author has done it is they've written chapters in such a stupid way. Personally, they write very short, fast chapters that you can read in maybe 5 minutes if you're an average reader like me. I don't get it personally. And the biggest gripe about that is with every chapter up until a certain point, if the author does this time flip thing, or in the beginning actually he does character flipping and then he does time flipping. So he'll jump between different characters, he'll jump between different time points, but within the same character's lifespan. It's really confusing, really disorientating, and really annoying because it's so confusing to read and actually get a coherent picture as to what's going on, because you'll be bouncing back and forth between multiple character perspectives on different parts of the silo, and then you'll jump forward in a single character's timeline to a point later, which in some instances spoils what's then going to happen when you jump backwards, which is, in my opinion, bad writing, because then there's no suspense, there's no build-up, there's no surprise. You know what's going to happen, you just get to see the build-up to what's going to happen. It's like, The ironic thing is, I think the way the narrative has been told would work fantastically in a film, because you'd visually get to see the different distinct chunks, but because you're reading it and everything's happening in your head and you're not doing it in one go, you'll take breaks. If you're like me, you'll spend literal months reading a single book. It doesn't work, I'll be honest. So that's annoying. The second half of the first book really picks up and actually is what kept me going, because the second half is so interesting, so encapsulating. I can't think of what the word is. It grabs your attention really, really well, and it becomes linear. That's the biggest thing, is it becomes a linear time stream, and it follows a single character jumping to a couple side characters that are within close proximity, so you're not completely lost. And it's just, that's what's really good, and that's what's really annoying, is because the second book falls right into the same pitfalls that the first book had, in the fact that, one, it doesn't pick up immediately from where the first book started, although by the looks of it, it's heading that way. It's heading, the second book is way before the first book, but is heading to connect with the first book. But I've only just figured that out like 2/3 into the book. It's really annoying. The second thing is, we're having these time jumps again, and I mean, they've put time stamps in this one, in the second book, so we're jumping 50 years, 100 years, back and forth constantly, and it's just so, it's so annoying. And again, my brain's like, yeah, this could probably work really well in a film, but this isn't a film, this is a book. It's as if the book was written for a film It's as if the film, It's as if the book was written for a film adaptation, but it's not. It's a book first, and it's just so annoying. Like, I recently read a chunk of it a couple of days ago, and I got really annoyed because basically the overarching plot, spoilers, is revolution. That's the overarching plot. People learn so much information, they realize, I don't like the system, revolt. That's kind of the core plot, because I mean, that's the core plot of all of these dystopian trilogy series novels, right? I got to a point where we'd gone through the revolution, there was this huge explosion of information and knowledge and so much happening and potentially people dying, and then the next chapter is basically the characters you've just been following, you were hanging on the edge of your seat thinking, oh my goodness, have they died? And then the next chapter says, no, they're alive, having a child, and they're back in the system. Nothing's changed. And you're just out there like, what? What? So many unanswered questions. And then what's the next chapter after that? Because remember, these chapters are like 5 pages. A time jump. What? We've gone from this huge revolution, a huge plot point twist, and then you just skip, I'm not joking, 130 years into the future, and I'm like, are we coming back? I presume we are, because the author likes to keep flipping back and forth between time periods. So it's very frustrating, because the problem is I'm wondering if I'm almost at that point where it becomes linear and becomes really good like the first book. So yeah, annoyed. And this is probably why I haven't read many other books in general, is just because I've been working through this book series for goodness knows how long, but also I'm very frustrated by it whilst also really enjoying it. So yeah, I don't know, there's something nice about reading books, I think, because it just gives you an escape, but it also gives you something different. All of my primary entertainment is on computer devices, either that be my full computer, my TV, phone, tablet, games console. There's not a lot of analog media other than books that I can think of currently that offer you some sort of entertainment without being digital. So having that difference is really quite nice in that regard, I think. So happy that I'm doing it, annoyed with what I'm doing it, I think is the defining trait. It's funny because I think I haven't appreciated books until this point in my life. Like, I've read other books. I read mostly fiction novels when I was younger. Like, I did read through, I think I read through the Harry Potter series. I read one of the Lord of the Rings books and remember vividly getting soaked by water in my bag. So we had to buy a replacement copy because it was a borrowed book from a school. That's why we had to buy one. I didn't give any context for that. I'm sorry. I read the Hunger Games series, which my friend spoiled a huge thing in the last book as I was reading the beginning of it, and I was like, I've been obviously reading this series. Oh, the series, by the way, is called Wool, Shift, and it's by Hugh Howey. I can't think what the third one's called. Yeah, if you just Google Wool by Hugh Howey, you'll find it. Is that his name? I should have trusted myself. Yes, it is Hugh Howey. Saying his name out loud just didn't seem correct to me for whatever reason. So I have, so yeah, that's fiction books. I have also read the odd non-fiction book. The main one being Hannah Hart's. I think it's an autobiography. I'm taking a punt that it's an autobiography. That was an interesting read. Obviously, reading about someone else's life is very different to reading fiction books. So I would recommend, if you have a person that you are interested in and you would like to know a bit about their life story and they've written one of these kind of books, go for it, because it is genuinely quite interesting and allows you to connect with the person a bit more. So yeah, reading. I didn't think I'd be able to talk about a book for an episode, but here we are. So I'm gonna get out of here before I keep rambling on and on and on and rambling on and on. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you all next week. Bye.